51.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's quasi 51.
Yeah, if you're a member, you already have this.
Yes. Because this is really the bonus content that we'll throw up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you can see what it's like to be a member. Get the extra episode a week.
Totes my goats.
Yeah. Plus, we missed out on an episode last week.
My fault.
Your wedding.
Yeah, I got married and shit.
Yeah. So yeah, this is basically what our bonus episodes are like. They're kind of just like quasi episodes, sometimes a little shorter.
Yeah, and with our bonus, what we really want to focus on is like getting a lot more interview content
For the main
episodes, and having guests on and stuff like that. And then for these episodes, we would be our traditional back and forth
hanging out
banter.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
So enjoy what.
Well, there's still a little bit time left on the membership special.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
So right now, you can get a full year membership for half the price,
$25 fucking dollars.
and that will get you an entire year of membership content. And that includes anything that we release and have released. And so
We're trying to get stickers made right now. We're a little backed up on doing things from the printer, so those will come out.
So we got that, and then ebooks.
We got Donna Wild's ebook. You get.
We're gonna get some ringtones and some wallpaper shit because that's cliche.
I like making that
Fucking
shit.
retro
I
funny.
I have it on my notes to make the Earth Crisis Vegan Till Death ringtone.
Ooh.
I'll throw that up for members.
Yeah.
I have a Zayo ringtone that I personally use. I'll throw that up.
Hopefully they won't get mad about that.
Fuck them.
Fair enough. They don't mean that, Carl.
Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I'm also going to make a ringtone of a couple Witchside ringtones.
Yeah, and that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And so as well as the half off on a year, if you're not sure about the $25 yet, we're also offering 3 months for the 1 month rate
For
of
$5.
Yep. And so you can get 3 months of content for $5.
Yep.
So you can
And-
give it a shot.
Just to let you guys know, because of the awesome people that have signed up to become members right now, we are working with people in India to get a podcast created with them and get that up and going. It's helping to put the hosting fees for them. It's not just going to us. Like, we're actually getting more content created.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that one. We'll have more info on that one coming out soon.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and then we also have a video cast that I'm trying to create.
As well as we have a few podcasts of our own that we're looking to put out, as well as some additional podcasts from other people.
Other individuals, yeah.
So we hope to get this collective rolling. It's going to be awesome.
It'd be totally awesome. And thank you, everyone who signed up. You guys are my fucking heroes. And yes, I know some of you have said you like hugs that last a little too long, and every one of you get one. You got it coming when you least expect it.
And if you're comfortable with it, I mean, consensual about it, I might do a reach around. I might.
He'll whisper in your ear
You say,
"Is this the time for a reach around?"
and if you say no, I mean, I'm going to respect your boundaries, obviously, because it's got to be consensual. But
Consent is sexy.
consent is sexy.
Consent is sexy.
So consider a membership right now while it's on sale. Well, fucking $5, you get 3 months.
Yeah.
And I mean, or you can get a year for $25.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Fucking still, man.
But yeah, if you're not comfortable with that, $5. Try it out.
Yep. Enjoy.
Man. And you can get the memberships at whichsidepodcast.com.
You forgot to throw that
I
on.
forgot to tell you how to do that. That's
Just
probably
go to
important.
whichsidepodcast.com.
Become members.
Thank you. Bye.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
This is recording? Why are we recording if I'm getting myself something to eat? This will? What will? Paused.
Because I really, really want to get that started, the Anarchy at Home thing. and just do like the little how tos and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
I was making a new tofu press
Mhm.
out of old tofu containers. I just gonna get one more
Yeah,
because
super easy.
It's great to show people how to make tofu,
Mhm.
but if I'm showing them my press and they don't have an actual press,
Yeah,
so I was going to show them do it with my press,
and then do
a colander, and
Uh-huh.
then do one out of like either old tofu containers.
Yeah,
or old
colander's
butter
super
containers or-
simple too, like a metal colander.
Yeah, but it's just bigger.
It's-
and so
and
you,
it's
you have to
round,
be
it's-
doing more to
Mhm.
really. Otherwise, it kind of gets really thin.
Yeah, totally.
So you
I'd
know.
eat that much tofu though.
So, yeah, but I made I don't even know how to pronounce it. Is it Diyas? Diyas?
I don't.
And there's like oil lanterns.
Yeah.
That they use in Diwali. So you can see, I mean, that's just what they are. Pretty
Cool.
straightforward. Yeah, so we made those. It was a lot of fun. It works fucking like magic, man.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's just great to be able to know that you can make like lanterns really easily, so you can have light without electricity.
Yeah, totally.
So now I know.
And knowing's half the battle.
Yeah, totally. And one of the things, like, it seems stupid to say out loud, but I just never thought about it before. Like, you just use fucking canola oil in it. Like, I'd never thought about using, like, canola oil as a lantern fuel before.
Yeah.
And I don't think if I was in an emergency situation, that's where my mind would go.
Well, that's why a lot
Until now.
That's why a lot of emergency packs, they say to pack like a plastic bottle of oil, even a
Mhm.
small bottle. And all you do is like you take a part of your shirt, rip it off, and twirl it up.
Just a cotton wick, yeah.
Just dip it in the oil, and then pull it out, and you can light the end of that, and it should stay lit for a long time.
It's a long time. We had the one burning
Mhm.
2 hours off of, like, a teaspoon of canola oil.
Mhm.
You know?
You don't even really need the carrier. The carrier just helps keep the wick.
Yeah, the carrier just helps keep the wet. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it just keeps sucking up the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's like even with like just a strip of like your t-shirt or whatever else, in an emergency situation, dip that in some oil and
Yeah.
you're fucking good to go.
Totally. So yeah, I really want to get that video series started. I just know nothing about making videos and how to do them correctly.
Would you do YouTube or Vimeo?
Probably Vimeo.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because I like the idea on Vimeo, the password protection on it, and other things like that. Plus, I don't like the monopoly of YouTube, but you can always do both, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of mainly doing the video series for members. But then again, I don't want to limit how many people see it.
Yeah.
But I just want to do.
mean-
I don't even know what I want to call it. But like Anarchy at Home stuff, like just the
That'd be
DIY
cool.
stuff.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
Because I'm going for like the gaming aspect, but everybody does gaming stuff all the time.
yeah. There's a ton
for
of gaming
video.
stuff out
For
there.
video.
But I don't know.
It's just fun though.
And I don't know like how to put together. I don't know like frequency. I haven't figured any of that shit out.
To do what?
How to like for the video series.
Yeah. I think, I mean,
And then
it's
I always
pretty
I always
similar.
get that stupid shit like, well, who am I to put something out? But I feel the same way about the podcast.
I think that's probably, I didn't know that you were thinking about that idea. I like that idea a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
And once a week is probably ideal.
Yeah, it's fucking tough though.
It's not as tough as you think. Like, and
We're already doing the podcast once a week.
I know.
And I try to do a craft with my daughter once a week, and so it would basically have to take the place of my craft. So I'd have to be doing the craft with my daughter and turning that into
Which
a
is
video
fun.
series. I mean, yeah, it's fun, but it also makes it, something you have to do instead of something you want to do.
Yeah. And I think that, well, I mean, I'd be willing to help collaborate with you on that. So
I would love other people to do it
and
also.
so, exactly. And so I think if it got to that point, and I mean, that's what we want with the whole collective anyway, for a lot of the podcasts and video casts that we're going to be doing.
I'm super stoked about the guys in India doing the podcast.
Yeah. So I don't think we've even talked about it.
No, we haven't at all.
No.
No.
But that's going to be awesome.
It's going to be what I'm super excited for
And
it.
we're going to have them on too, right?
Yeah,
we're
I'm
gonna
trying
have
to
some
figure
people
out,
on, too.
trying to work out how we can get them on.
We have different people in India right now that we're, right?
Yeah.
Do you talk to the other guy anymore, or is he just gone?
His work schedule now is just opposite of mine. So
Okay.
yeah.
It's so weird. Like all the anarchist Indians,
Apparently they have a relatively large communist like leaning.
Mhm.
So they're and they're pretty well educated. And
Mhm.
so it's just about pushing them away from that communism and anarchism, and they're more like anarcho-communist than like
Yeah,
if that makes
I think it's easier to get anarcho-communists over than it is ANCAPs.
Yeah, I would almost agree with that.
Uh-huh.
Like, I wish it would be easier to get ANCAPs, but they can't get over the greed thing,
Yeah.
and that fucking drives me just bonkers.
And at the same time, like anarcho-communism, that's more anarchism in my mind than ANCAP is. So like I have no problem. Like,
yeah, but we view anarchism from the community aspect, not the individual aspect.
yeah,
And so, I mean, who am I to say, what someone else? But
exactly.
ANCAPs view it from the individualism
Mhm.
instead of the communal. But yeah,
Exactly.
at least that's how I take it from them.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't
Yeah,
get
I
it
mean,
still.
And then I think the funny thing between I think ANCAPs and anarcho-primitivists are way closer than most people think. Also, because I think primitivists also view it from an individual standpoint.
Yeah.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. If you're out there and you're a primitivist.
I don't know, but I've been like,
And the reason I
we've
say
talked
is it just seems like that most primitivists don't care about the social well-being of others. Like they believe in the hardcore Darwinian natural selection.
and I've been there.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I've been there.
I was
we've
there
talked
too.
about it before.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
fuck humanity half the time. We're fucked up. Like, half the time I don't give a shit if most people die because they just create more problems than they.
But
help.
as I've gotten older, like it totally has changed
Yeah.
for me.
No, it's definitely changed for me too. Like that's what I'm saying. I've been to that point where those are my feelings. Like,
I used to giggle when I'd hear an ambulance, like, haha, another person's dying.
well, that's kind of fucked up.
It is fucked up. I'm not saying,
So,
I'm not here to say, no, it's way fucked up.
Yeah.
And I would also justify it. They're probably not vegan. Fuck them.
Yeah,
Which
is true.
is true.
Just
No, I mean, I think, and this is what probably changed for me the most is that veganism for me is fucking important. Like, there's probably no one singular issue that's more important to me than veganism.
Mhm.
But I don't singularly focus on it anymore. And by doing that, it's opened me up to caring and other perspectives and not being so judgmental of people who aren't.
Yeah. And I think that, and I've talked about it with a lot of people, you end capitalism and you end a lot of the atrocities that
Because,
happen.
the I can't even talk. What's happening in massive agriculture, factory farms, everything has to do with capitalism, has to do with greed. And so you end that greed and you end that cycle. Not that people will stop eating animals, but the numbers would drastically drop.
It would be you go out and you hunt your own animal kind of.
Well, you might even raise your own animal, but it's
Yeah.
not going to be in anywhere near
The
those type
same.
of conditions and that the intensity and the level, it just wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Plus, you get rid of the aspects of the monetary, and then you're stuck with the idea, okay, do I grow grain
Mhm.
to feed my cow, or do I grow fruits and vegetables on the same land to feed myself?
Yeah.
What's going to feed you and your family more? It's pretty straight across the board.
Totally. And if
So-
you want to make that choice, then it's your choice to make. I guess.
Yeah,
But,
that's totally how I feel.
I mean, I've written essays in college about my ideological society where we've talked about it.
yeah,
It was for my political ideology class. I didn't get a good grade because it was too idealistic, but yeah, where I've actually gotten to the point where like I've said things like, well, animals should be included in. We shouldn't put ourselves above them. The hierarchy of that and everything like that.
I mean, let me be straight. I agree with that. Still.
Yeah, I do.
But I would much rather live in a society where people are raising their individual animals, where then I can then take them and try to educate them about stopping that practice.
Yeah.
Than not having either.
Mhm.
Because I think, maybe call it welfare. I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to go for ending capitalism to end animal suffering. I don't know. I don't think that's the end of the fight for animal rights, but I think
No.
that's the biggest stepping stone we can
I
make.
think that would it's a tremendous help.
Yeah.
You're not once you end animals as a commodity and as a product, then you're saving way more lives because
Exactly.
they're not something to be sold. They're not something to just be.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is ending them as a commodity.
Mhm.
You know?
And so, yeah, no, I totally get that. And that's why I'm saying, like, yeah, my ideas were a little idealistic. And if I looked back at those essays now, I'd probably just laugh at myself because that was so long ago.
Yeah,
And-
but it's crazy. So, like, if I look back, to when I was 18, 19, and
Yeah.
it's super idealistic and fucking crazy,
Mhm.
I'm ashamed of how I acted, and I'm ashamed of, like, some of the stuff. It's
Oh yeah,
fuck, that was, 14 years ago,
totally.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's almost, yeah.
It's crazy.
I've been out of high school a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, going from 18 to where I am now, it's amazing the changes that have happened.
Mhm.
And I would say for the better. I would hope for the better.
Yeah.
But talk to other early 20s now, they'd probably say not for the better.
Probably.
Yeah.
You become jaded and bitter, and you don't care about animals the same way.
I'm actually happier now, though.
Yeah.
I don't care about animals the same way. That is truthful. I don't care about them in the same way.
Which is kind of a misleading, because I would say I don't care about them in the same way, but when I cared about animals back then, it was like every hour they were on my mind. Like,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Um,
You couldn't focus on anything else.
Yeah, I walk past some sort of suffering that I noticed,
And you just get enraged.
and I get enraged, and I want to figure out how to stop it.
Yeah.
It was a constant.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe it's not the same anymore. But that's not to say that it's not way above average.
Yeah, no, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get that. I totally do.
My biggest change was, which I know I said recently, is being able to say, I do care about humans.
Mhm.
That was my biggest change.
And I think that I think
And like,
I
not just say
started-
it to say it, say
Mhm.
it and mean it.
I think that's the difference between like me and you, though. I didn't start with animal rights. I started with other things.
Yeah.
And so, I think that like I was really focused on like issues in Africa and stuff like that.
Yeah, no,
Way-
I remember. Yeah,
way before.
I remember you telling me, like, I'm going to this. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're like 16. I'm
Yeah.
like, you fucking idealistic piece of shit. Like,
I want to.
you want to help people, like, stop hunger in Africa? Fucking
No.
make them go vegan. Like,
It's like, you want to stop child enslavement in Africa? Well, that's not going to happen.
yeah, I mean, it was, I remember, like, totally, like, you should do this with me. I'm like, fuck you.
I think that one was, in particular, it was the kids in Uganda who were forced to become soldiers for the rebel armies.
Mm-hmm. Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Invisible Children did
Yeah.
things on it as well.
You know,
So-
one of the things that struck me the other day, it's one of those things that always slaps you in your face, is I was talking to some of my guys in India, and I was talking to the one who wants to do the podcast.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, do you realize just how lucky you are being born in America? I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck. Yeah, I do realize it, but like when you actually say it like that, like, yeah, like that's insane.
I mean, going through the visa process just to get Mari here, I've realized how fucking easy we have it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy to get someone you love here.
But recognizing that privilege makes me even more want to, yes, we have this privilege, and I can't
And I want you to enjoy it as much as I
exactly. I'm not just gonna, I can't just turn a blind eye to all the privilege. It's there whether I want it or not,
Mhm.
right? So now that makes it my job to help other people achieve the same level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the things that we do. We talk about going skydiving and stuff like that. And that's just it sucks when you think about it from like a privileged perspective, but at the same time it's like, well, fuck, I want you to come skydiving with me too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
it's not that I'm better than anybody.
no, totally not.
We're
I always
always
feel bad,
better.
like when I sit back and analyze things like that. I'm like, well, do you know how many kids they could have fed with the money I went skydiving? And I hate that feeling.
Mhm.
But you know,
I hate those kind of arguments, though. It's like, well, fuck you. Do you know how many kids you could have fed with that subsidies from that fucking hamburger? Like, fuck you.
I know. I mean, but you know what I mean. It's just you know. I think it's important to, and I'm not saying people shouldn't, you know, enjoy themselves. I think it's you know, we couldn't fucking continue on otherwise, because you know what the fuck's the point of life otherwise?
Yeah,
you know?
and that's an issue. Like I see it a lot of times in radical communities. It's like you'll find people stopping themselves from enjoying things because other people can't.
When 1819, I was there.
Exactly, and I've been there too.
Yeah,
and that's not right either.
No,
we shouldn't stop enjoying ourselves. We should just try to help other people be able to enjoy things too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Yeah, one thing though that always strikes me is the programs that they have going on in Africa right now, where they're, you know, we need to stop sending money, we need to stop, you know, and do other things instead. And it's just interesting. I don't know like how I personally feel about any of those things.
Right now, I don't know either, because it's also an issue of like, how far do you want to extend your anarchism? Like,
yeah,
the reasons why you shouldn't, you know, support like these organizations that give
I've heard that a lot of them has to do with it. We're not enabling farming to happen.
Yeah,
I've heard those arguments.
A lot of it is by contributing you're hurting, because for example, like Tom's, they'll give a pair of shoes for every shoe that you buy. By giving that pair of shoes, it's not hard for people to get shoes. They could buy shoes from their local shoe person who makes the shoes.
What is a shoemaker called? What are they called?
A shoemaker.
Don't they have like a fancy name?
I don't know.
Cobbler, right?
Cobbler, sure.
Isn't
Shoe cobbler.
Yeah,
something like that.
Something like that. Anyway, sorry.
So, anyways, you're taking money from them because they could sell that shoe to their local economy. And so you're putting them out of business by giving them free things.
Yeah.
And so you're actually hurting them more.
That's
than
what I
you're
mean by
helping.
like the farming.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not enabling the farming because you're giving them the food.
Yeah, you're giving
the farmers then can't grow themselves.
They can't sell that food that they grow themselves. Yeah.
One
it's the
awesome
same concept.
That there's this new thing going on too, and this is specifically dealing with Africa, is there's a new group where they're literally just giving money. Like instead of like products or things like that, they'll go into like a village and they'll give anyone in that village of like lower stature like $1,000.
Yeah,
they can do whatever the fuck they want with it, and the results from it, the early results seem pretty amazing. They're doing like really good things with it. You know, like they're buying metal roofs for their houses so they don't have to use straw anymore.
Yeah,
which lasts longer, but they could never afford it before,
and that helps the economy.
It helps everything. You know, they're buying motorcycles they use as taxi services to get people to and from like medical services. They're actually doing really good things with it. Not to say that some people don't, you know, squander, but that's up to that individual, right?
Exactly.
I really like those type of programs way more than, you know, hey, let's just go give them, you know, our leftover clothes.
But then that puts it all back onto, is that promoting a capitalist society?
Yes. No, this is the other argument I hate. Like, yes, of course it is, but we're in a fucking capitalist society. So until we change it, capitalism is what will make their life slightly better.
So
does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
and I'm not saying capitalism is the answer.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
So wouldn't in an idealistic society, if what they need is food, why don't we give them food?
It's the exact same thing, because then why they're making it in that society. In order to create your own food, you do need a monetary reason to create the food, monetary stabilization, and you're eliminating that monetary stabilization to be able to purchase your seeds and purchase your tills and purchase your land and purchase, you know, all the things you need to cultivate your land, because it's not free, you know, and unfortunately it's not free. It should be free. You know, people should be able to get as much seed and much, you know, but it's not. So yes, it is promoting capitalism, but you know, I believe it was Marx that said capitalism, and I'm wholly taking this out of context and paraphrasing, but capitalism raised a society to enable themselves to kill capitalism. Like, that makes sense. And maybe I'm misquoting or misunderstanding, but
and it's Marx anyway.
I mean, I will say this though. I think Marx had an amazing critique on capitalism, like way better than I think most people. I think he had set a different end view.
But what about Engels?
It's hard to say which one actually had the better view. Engels probably had a better view on capitalism because he had more money.
He got it more.
He got it more. No, but I think it's important to study Marx's view on capitalism, the view on profit, where profit comes from, how profit, and then take that and from an anarchist perspective.
I think there's no. Like, I find a lot of people avoiding literature from philosophers and idealists that didn't have the same political viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you can take a lot from a lot of the different ones. Like I can't even remember who it is right now. I want to say Locke maybe said it, that the like trees and stuff, we shouldn't take more from a tree than what we can eat, because then that would be inhibiting hoarding and stuff like that, and just different ideas. And even though he's not an anarchist, it's true, we shouldn't take more than we need to consume, because once you start hoarding things, then that enables capitalism, in my opinion, because then you can start selling.
I guess that all depends on
like
what
that.
your idea of what capitalism is, and
Mhm.
like when capitalism really started. Because
Like if it's a communal tree, then you
There-
keep it as a communal tree.
there's been quasi markets for a long time, but the systems weren't capital based, meaning debt, the debt based systems.
Mhm.
And so I'm more concerned with debt than necessarily items. Like, I think the biggest thing we should do is eliminate debt.
Mhm.
The idea of debt in general.
Yeah,
And that would eliminate the need for
and
hoarding.
the idea of you owe me for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all debt. That's
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I'm talking about in all senses.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, so, the idea of hoarding would be you take as much as you can, so then you can give somebody, so then they have to give you something else.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's debt.
like a lock and key kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with people taking and using and sharing,
Mhm.
but that's not hoarding, because then it goes bad and there's no purpose in it.
Well, and that's the thing. Like that was also explained in. I can't. I'm just totally.
I'm
can't
not
remember
familiar
the-
with the.
Yeah, I can't even
the-
remember
the-
who.
the-
But like, you take too much and it'll spoil it. If you keep the tree by itself and it's a communal tree, then people just grab what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so why take more than you need, because you don't want to inhibit spoil.
But if you lived in a society where there was none of that debt that you had to repay, you only are going to take what you need.
Exactly.
And granted, there will be a little bit of spoilage that just happens with food.
Yeah.
But we're not talking,
Mass amounts.
mass amounts. Because as a community, people would realize, hey, we have this one tree. Not everyone's eating enough of this fruit. Let's make sure we have 3 more of these trees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just seems that's what would happen.
So to sidetrack from that, we were talking about seeds earlier,
Mhm.
and how fucked up it is, like the market on seeds and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we ever talked about like Monsanto really.
I know they just lost their first lawsuit
Did
having
they
to
really?
do with the repropagation of seeds. I believe it was in Brazil.
Really.
Yeah.
So what was that about?
I don't know the details, and so I don't want to say exactly, but I
Yeah.
believe it was the farmers were suing, saying, because the biggest claim that Monsanto has is that they own the patents on the genetically modified seeds.
Yeah.
Right? That's their biggest thing,
Mhm.
Which I don't believe you should be able to patent. That's just my personal belief.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so bad about Monsanto. Not the idea that they're necessarily modifying seeds,
Mhm.
But they were suing, saying, because in order with Monsanto, you have to re-sign a new contract every single year, so you don't reuse this previous seeds. You have
Yeah.
to buy new seeds.
Because the way that it traditionally was is you collect the
You can
seeds
collect your old
and you
seeds
can
and reuse them.
reuse them.
But by allowing that to happen, you're foregoing the patent done by Monsanto.
Mhm.
It's all about the patent on the seeds, right?
Mhm.
And so, and like I said, I don't know the specifics of the case. I didn't read it in full, but it was basically saying that they were allowed to now keep their seeds. But I believe it was only in Brazil.
That's a good start.
It is a good start.
And I mean, if you know anything about
And I could be
Monsanto-
wrong on this.
Yeah.
Like, I only very, very briefly read about it, but I do know that Brazilian farmers won a lawsuit against them. I believe that's what it was for.
And if you know anything about Monsanto, a lot of the things that they'll do, they'll bully farmers, because sometimes seeds can, plants cross-pollinate, stuff like that, and you could be living on a farm across the street, and if any of their seeds somehow get mixed into your crop,
Mhm.
you're using their patented
and they
product, and
They only will sue if you then try to then take those seeds and replant them,
Mhm.
which is fuck. Like, that's why,
yeah.
And
So you have to. you have to siphon through your seeds to find which ones are GMO and which ones aren't. Like,
which is what the fucked up part about that
how do you know?
is that, like, you know, they're not just suing if like a seed blows on,
Uh-huh.
you know, but they're suing if then you try to reuse those same seeds. But you have a lot of people don't have a way of knowing.
Exactly.
You know? But the biggest problem I have with that is that, you know, if you're trying to run a crop that is completely GMO free
and organic and everything else, and your
you know, and then you're getting
contaminated.
the seeds blowing in, there's no way of verifying what is fully GMO free.
Mhm.
You know, but that's just
And there's been cases of Monsanto hiring like Blackwater and stuff like that. Have you heard about that at all?
no, I haven't.
Especially to infiltrate activist groups.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. But that's just the kind of level that they go to. It's fucking crazy.
It boils down to them trying to protect their patent on
Yeah.
the seeds, which, you know,
shouldn't exist.
shouldn't exist as far as I'm concerned. Well, unfortunately, the Supreme Court says it should.
Yeah.
Unanimously, even.
And that's another issue. I know that a lot of old school anarchists were all about copyright. They're all about individual just being able to create something and then have that patent or have that copyright. I don't know if you've like read about that at all.
A little bit,
And
a teeny bit.
And so, like, that's just another one of those issues. It's like, where do you stand? Do you stand for creators?
The only reason that copyrights exist is because of capitalism, is so
Yeah.
that it would spur people to innovate and they can profit off of their innovations.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have the profit motive, then why should there be the copyright motive?
And that's exactly true. I think that I know people love recognition, and I think they should totally get.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time people get sidetracked with the whole idea of, well, we're anarchists, so you know you're doing it for the community. You shouldn't really get recognition for it.
No,
I think that's silly.
Yeah, I think that's silly too.
Because obviously
everyone loves to be recognized for,
and they should be.
Even
And
the
it's
right
not,
thing.
It's not adding hierarchy to recognize somebody for an achievement.
No,
they're still just a human like you. But,
well, and it all depends on like what your definition of hierarchy is.
Yeah,
you know, whether or not you're talking about, you know, social hierarchy or governmental hierarchy.
mm-hmm.
You know,
and social hierarchy just happens.
There's in certain situations I want people to take charge. I don't want to have to. I would rather have them say, "You do this." You know what I mean? And so I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay with it being
about
decided
making sure
as a
that
group
everyone is
Okay.
equal rights on equal planes and given equal opportunities.
Mhm.
And so to eliminate the hierarchies from that.
Yeah.
That's my personal.
And I totally agree. And if you ever have a problem with it, then you can always address it. And you're not just a peon. You're you have equal say in what happens.
The one thing that I do think we as anarchists fail at miserably, and I believe Jessica brought this up, is that people that are very introverted and aren't really outspoken get passed over all the fucking time.
Totally.
You know, because we basically like, well, you have a fucking say. You know, you have your say it.
Yeah.
We don't allow that free space to make people feel comfortable necessarily. Give them the time to formulate. And you know, not everyone's quick. Not everyone. You know, I think we fail at that a lot.
And I noticed that on like a lot of things. Even when I was going through TSA the other day, I saw on a sign that it said, if you prefer this search in private, just ask.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, do you really want to be that person that's just like...
Do you really think someone who wants that search in private is going to be the type of person
that's going to ask? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really help any situation. No. And I see that a lot on things. It's like, well, they had the opportunity to ask. They should have just asked.
Yeah, but it's not... It's not created in a way that makes it easy.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, I think we as anarchists fail at that. And even we try. I've seen it where people try. They're like, you know, go around, make sure everyone has an opportunity. But even, you know, in that stressful situation, you know, it doesn't allow for open communication always.
And another thing I've noticed is people that aren't, I don't know how you would say it, people who might have like a disability or something that inhibits them from like maybe communicating on like the same level, whether it be like from extreme drug use or they were born that way, they'll often not be regarded at the same level. I think.
Kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, I've even seen myself doing it. Like I see someone who is totally fucked up, and you could tell that they've been using drugs for a long time, and not that to say that I have like a huge issue with drugs or anything, but it's like they're totally burnt out, and some of the things that they say are not coherent. I'm not going to give them as much say as I would someone else that didn't. I've seen that with myself even.
And let alone
how do you get over that issue?
Doesn't even go into the aspect of people who don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
Or it's not.
Or a language barrier at all.
Language barriers at all. Like, it's your second or third or fourth language, and the communication barrier that those create.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It gets tough.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so how do you address that situation where you have someone who, or somebody who's maybe not radicalized even? Like, you would see this at Occupy. You have somebody off the street who sees this encampment, thinks it's a cool idea. They come by. They're not radicalized. They might just been somebody that was homeless that found the camp and thought it was a cool thing. Now they're getting these radical ideas, and they're wanting to contribute to them. But I think even a lot of people push them aside because those are just the homeless people.
Yeah.
They have nothing of value to say.
Or not even just homeless. They're just the new people. They don't even they don't understand anarchism.
Yeah,
they don't understand consensus. Well, yeah, I guess I don't either. I mean, let's really talk.
And then you started hearing the things like, well, let's do 75%. I like that about Occupy. How since it started with a complete consensus, it could never be changed because the anarchists would always stop it. That was
I remember
the best
huge arguments, like reading arguments about it. People trying to push the anarchists out, and the anarchists, and luckily there was enough people that are like, no, this is done and maintained and started by anarchists, and it's only continuing.
And you can't push people out. If it starts as complete consensus, then you can't push people out.
You can't,
because it's always complete consensus.
The system really doesn't allow it.
Yeah, and that's why all these offshoots started happening, like the 99%ers or the whatever you want to call them, and that's what I found that really enjoyable about the Occupy movement in general.
Even though Occupy in general, I don't think achieved their stated goals, I still think it was a huge success.
I think it was a stepping stone to get people into other things.
I think it got people interested in other things and showed people, what this type of organizing could do. I actually, since I never got involved with Occupy because I always kind of just wrote it off at the very beginning.
And I was telling you about it like way before, and you're like, "How is that ever going to happen?"
Yeah, I was just very pessimistic about the whole thing, and it shocked me, honestly.
Yeah.
And hats off to everyone who took a part of it. Like, you have my deepest respect.
Totally.
Like, honestly, like I feel ashamed kind of that I didn't partake of it. A little bit.
And I didn't take part of it very much. Like, I went to the camp locally here maybe at the most 5 times.
I mean, I talked to other people about it and tried to explain like what they were doing and why it's okay and good, but that was my extent. To me, that's just not enough for someone,
I'm just gonna cop out and say I had prison issues because I did.
I had work issues.
Okay, yeah, workers' rights. No, anytime anybody, like, a lot of times people will give you a hard time for working and not showing up to like an action or
sorry, my leg's asleep.
That's fine. Like, oh, you didn't come to the meeting. Oh, I had work. Oh, fuck your work. Workers' rights, man.
Yeah,
workers' rights.
Workers' rights, man.
It's workers' struggle, man. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't judge work anymore. I used to.
It's gotten to the point for me where, like, and I think I noticed it a lot when I was dealing with like with the FBI and stuff like that. I started looking at like the prosecutors and the FBI's as people who go to a job, and that was really weird for me. Like, yeah, their job's a piece of shit job, but it's still a job. They go, and their job's criteria is to do whatever they're,
what
prosecute.
What their bosses tell them.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you need to prosecute this guy. Okay, that's my job. I'm prosecuting
this guy.
And I get that. It's weird to me to think about
the
it from
FBI
the outside
is basically, we need to focus on XYZ crimes.
Mhm.
That's what they do.
Yep.
You know, whether or not they like it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's easy to say, well, you shouldn't do your job.
Yeah.
And it's
And I say that a
it's
lot.
really easy to say when it comes to those type of authoritarian figures.
Mhm.
But you know, take a step back a little bit. And I'm not disagreeing. Like I think you know those positions should reevaluate
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Without a doubt.
But you know, it makes it when you start viewing it that way. When you know, I don't really want to call people that work for the FBI our enemies, but the institution of the FBI is definitely our enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so you know, when you start viewing it that way, that the people who work for your enemy, you know, well, what about Joe Blow who just works, you know, down the street, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he works for Walmart. Yeah, it's a fucked up corporation.
Mhm.
Yeah, he can, you know, eat because of it.
And that's like the same issue that you have to really look into, like with military too. You have a lot of people joining the military because they come from these poor neighborhoods where the military promises to provide them with college. They promise to provide them
You know,
with
education and security.
And so, who's not gonna want?
I don't blame any of them for doing that.
exactly. And so, like, you really have to reevaluate a lot of that, I think, because it's honestly sometimes it's not really a choice.
Yeah.
It's, you wanna deal crack, or do you wanna try to get an education and better yourself?
And that's not always the only two options.
And so you can't really judge somebody for dealing crack either.
Yeah,
it gets tough.
it gets way tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Want to call this one?
Sure.
Yeah. Bonus. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a poo.
Go poo. This week we heard Hyper Cascade.
We also had Moby with Myopia.
And as always,
Commandantes.
Oh, you finished that for me.
But I didn't say what it was.
Which side are you on?
Which side are you on?
I'm on the right side.
I'm on the left side. No, actually, I'm on the right side. You're on the left side.
Technically speaking, right now, that is true.
Unless you're looking at us from the window.
Yes. I like to tell people I'm so far left, I'm right. Bada bing!
I'm so far right.
Anyways, this episode is brought to you by all our awesome members. It's half off right now, $25 for a year membership.
$5 for a 3-month membership.
Fucking check that shit out, y'all.
Do it.
Now.
Do it.
Now.
Do it.
Now.
Fuck shit, damn.
Well, it's at whichsidepodcast.com.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Now we can
say fuck shit, damn?
Yeah, fuck shit, damn.
Fuck shit, damn.